Michael Cucek joins us live now from Tokyo for more analysis on Japan's population decline. He is an assistant professor of Asian studies at Temple University. Professor Cucek, welcome. 6 years to turn this ship around. That's according to the Japanese Prime Minister. He calls it the last chance, in fact, to reverse the trend that we're seeing. But current measures to boost those birth rates, they don't appear to have moved the needle as much as perhaps had been hoped. But there have been significant impacts on the economy. Can Japan even achieve this elusive turnaround and somehow mitigate the worst impacts on its economy?
It can, in some ways, adjust if it does such things as increase automation, increased use of robots. But overall, the economy is going to shrink. It's going to have fewer customers domestically and fewer workers. And that's just not something that anyone can do anything about. What matters really not is the overall size of the economy, but indeed the efficiency and output and profits per worker that are generated. If those are increasing, then life will get better for Japanese altogether. But in terms of overall output, it's going to go down.
All right. So talk to me about the impact of that, of those smaller balance sheets on native companies as well. I mean, the Prime Minister has tried to push to support the national output of SMEs, of small and medium-sized enterprises, as an example. They only contribute about 50% of national output now, but there is a hope that they could contribute more here. Profitability, though, if you have a shrinking population, is still going to be impacted. So how can Japan address this challenge?
Well, in terms of small and medium-sized companies, certainly, Japan's SMEs do not go out into the world as much as they could possibly. There still is room for internationalization to get some larger sales. And certainly, the medium-sized companies have a great deal of expansion that they can still do. But we have to be realistic. Those expansions, of course, will have to involve employment. And employment right now is very tight. To have workers and to get workers is the second biggest problem for SMEs after succession. Who's going to take over the company when the founder dies? These companies are facing actually two crises at once. But getting the workers, that side is all the way through the economy.
Right. So let's talk a little bit more about those labour shortages and how far they persist in Japan and the impact on the economy. I mean, immigration has increased and that's seen a little bit of an uptick in the population. But can the country rely feasibly on foreign labour? And I'm speaking about foreign labour at different levels, whether it's in low-wage workers and all the way up to skilled workers, because the environment needs to be right as well in Japan to bring in that labour. Is it going to be enough?
It's not going to be enough. There is no pathway in the current set of policies and the current immigration laws of Japan that allows enough of an inflow of labor from outside to make up for just simply people leaving the workforce in retirement or by passing away. The population losses are extreme, and that's because the baby boom generation it's actually out of the labor force now, and their first cohorts are now reaching the end of their lifespans. And this movement out of the workforce into retirement, unless the retirement age is raised dramatically, is just going to become just overwhelming in the next few years. It's simply a matter of demographics. There aren't that many people born nowadays. They're not, and that has been, there've been low birth rates for over 40 years now. There is not a generation to march in and replace the generation that's leaving the workforce.
All right, Professor Cucek, thank you very much for your perspectives this evening. I want to thank you for that. Michael Cucek there, Assistant Professor of Asian Studies at Temple University.